Welcome back to Killer Fun, where we explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week. I'm Christy.
I'm Jackie.
And today we are talking about M3GAN. M3GAN. So I have to apologize because I kept saying it wrong. It's not MEG3N. It's M3GAN, which makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
But I said it wrong like a bunch of times.
Okay, but when you said it, I just translated.
Yeah.
On the fly. Like it didn't even occur to me because I saw it correctly in my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where I heard it.
Yeah. And also, I said it was from 2022, which kind of technically it is because it had its premiere in December of 2022, but it wasn't in wide release in theaters until January of 2023.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it's still a 2022 film. Like if you look it up and it's going to tell you 2022.
Right. I don't know if they did that for award season, which I don't believe it won really. And I think at like an MTV
maybe that
award,
kind of thing. But that would make sense, them
Yeah.
squeezing it into that award season.
Right.
When they're so close. Because you don't want to be so first and new in the season and not be like a highly anticipated critical film.
Sure.
You know, to the whole community. Because otherwise you'd totally be forgotten.
But it wasn't like Oscar bait.
No.
Which I'm totally fine with.
That's why they can't be first.
Right.
Because it's not Oscar bait, so it will be forgotten completely. But slide it in right at the end, and people are like, hey, remember that fun popcorn movie we watched?
Yeah.
You know?
So I don't think ears stretch like that. But, I can suspend my disbelief.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Yeah. All right, so the cast. Allison Williams is the super smart, robot-obsessed Auntie Gemma. She's been in HBO's Girls as her best-known role, but M3GAN isn't her first foray into horror.
No?
No, she was Rose in 2017's Get Out.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
I've
never seen Get Out. Now I'm like, I should go watch that, I think.
You haven't seen Get Out?
No, I've not.
Get Out. I mean, wow. Yes. Put that on your list. That's like you're in deficit right now. So you need to
I watched a scene with her in it and I'm like, okay, this looks good.
The movie was phenomenal.
Oh, good.
Oh, Get Out is phenomenal.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It was just one of those that just slipped by me and
oh man,
I need to rectify that.
Oh yeah.
Violet McGraw is Katie. This is also not her first foray into horror.
Really?
Yes. Young Violet was in The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Amy Donald is the physical M3GAN. She did almost all her own stunts and she did all the dancing. She's like a ballet dancer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yep. And she was also in Sweet Tooth on Netflix. Jenna Davis is M3GAN's voice. She's done lots of voiceover work and some smaller roles on TV. Because AI is a field where women are typically underrepresented. I have decided I'm going to overrepresent women in the cast, and that's all the people I'm talking about today.
I am on board with that. That is totally fine.
I'm like, here we go. We got a woman scientist. We've got a child. We've got women playing this robot. It's a women film.
Yes, which is why it's a true crime film. I kid.
So, recap. Poor Katie. Just 9 years old. Her life has an unimaginable tragedy, the death of her parents in a car accident that left her with what seemed like only minor injuries. I mean, she seemed not that hurt for something that claimed both of her parents.
Yeah, but that's why you put them in the back seat.
That's right. Exactly. And then she goes on to live with a murderous doll. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Katie goes and lives with her mother's sister, Gemma, who is the head of development at a high-tech toy company after her parents' death. Gemma isn't well suited to caring for a child, but she tries. Her situation seems to improve when Gemma introduces Katie to her latest expensive and unsanctioned project, Model 3 generative android, M3GAN. M3GAN is given a directive: protect Katie from harm, physical and emotional. M3GAN takes this directive very seriously, and it's possible that she doesn't really understand the assignment. But whoo doggy, that android can sing, dance, and murder with style.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Seattle is lovely. Well, it is, but that's not where this was filmed.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's a little bit more lovely in the film, it seems. I've only been there once, but it was lovely. And I was a kid, but I remember it being very pretty.
It was actually filmed in New Zealand.
And that tracks.
This is why it looks
so pretty.
So lovely.
I want Gemma's house.
I mean, for real. It's in New Zealand.
I don't want her neighbor.
Oh, no.
But I do want her house. However, let me say this. I do want that relationship with a neighbor.
Oh, where you like actually know their name and talk to them. And
yeah, and where you can actually just be real about things. You know, she could be a little catty, like, oh my gosh, shut up, you know, like move on. Or just get your dogs, you know, like they could be real without it being some sort of like fear of the whole thing falling apart.
Oh, yeah.
It did, but you know,
we'll get there. Yeah, it was filmed in Auckland, New Zealand, primarily because it was filmed during COVID. And there were very few cases of COVID in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And so anybody who was coming to work on the film from out of the country did their quarantine. And then once they were released from their quarantine, they could just go about filming like normal.
No, I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and Gerard Johnstone, who was the director, is a native New Zealander.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
It made total sense. And then they used locations there in Auckland. Auckland University of Technology served as the foyer for the company. Funky. The dance hallway scene, Gemma's workspace, Gemma's office at Funky, the white chamber where M3GAN and Katie first meet, the place where they had forest school, all in New Zealand. And then there were some B-roll and non-establishing shots done in Los Angeles. And then reshoots were done in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Oh, Poughkeepsie. Interesting.
So all horror movies reflect our fears. So that's kind of
fair.
The service that they provide. So you might think, oh, it's our fear of death. I mean, yes.
I mean, I feel like that's just
that's kind of a given.
Right.
Like there's usually something else. So Inconceivable Reviews suggested that it was making a commentary on parenting in the 21st century.
Oh, I'm not there with them.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, I think they're getting distracted by the bells and whistles because the issues of parenting are not new.
Well, no. What they were thinking of was that Gemma said, now you can concentrate on the important things rather than the repetitive nature of being a parent to a younger child, that M3GAN could take that over, and that it's sort of an allegory for iPads or phones or whatever.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But that has always been the case. I think that's what the perspective I have on it is that was always the case. Before that, it was just the television set, right? Before that, it was just a ton of toys in the room so that
Before that, it was, I gave you a bike, get out.
The irony. Yes. I mean, like, I think the issue is parents are always juggling. Where is it that I can simplify so I can focus on the important things, and then having to go back and re-identify what's important to them.
Right.
And I think people do this all the time. Even dropping kids off at an extracurricular, right?
Sure.
A sports game, a dance class or whatever it is, constantly is sort of the same thing.
No, sure.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
because I feel like that's where I'm saying is like, it's timeless, that juggle. And this now we just have different, maybe that makes the impact worse in some ways. But I don't think the issue is much different.
Okay.
Although I think my
That's
dad
fair.
would disagree.
Oh, okay.
Because I asked for him for advice, like, I don't know,
the time.
a handful of years ago. And he was like, I don't know, kid.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know how to deal with it.
It's so different now. I don't know.
Aw.
And I kind of, that made me think about it really hard and go, I think it's more timeless than people think.
Well, that's fair.
I hope.
Yeah, that's fair. You know what's not a timeless social commentary that we now have to worry about is privacy.
Yes.
Because that is absolutely a thing between M3GAN and the perpetual pets. We'll get there.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. That's the impact. The impact is so much worse because it's faster.
Yeah.
And it gets away from you.
Sure.
Whereas like the television, it could be like, ooh, I didn't expect that to come on next. Click.
Yep.
You know?
Right. But I mean, here's M3GAN. She's doing these things. She's tracking her temperature and her respiratory rate and her heart rate and all different kinds of things that she's doing. All of this video that she's intaking.
Yeah.
And it's all, for your convenience, stored in the cloud.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
By the company that sold you the expensive toy.
Yes. It is. That's a whole different ball. That's what's like,
and that's
super
where
different.
when you look at that as that's the other concern of, letting your kids play on the iPad and stuff like that. Whereas just watching TV or playing with toys in the past,
right.
Now you're opening them up perhaps in some situations to having this privacy, having their preferences used against them or like to somebody else's benefit.
It's without their consent.
And without their consent.
I mean, because that's the thing. Those are the things that I think are the new things we're dealing with. I think that they do nail it with that. Like, I agree. We deal with some things that have never been dealt with that get away from us faster, that we don't know how to come across and say, oh, we got to adjust this, But like the privacy thing, we're just now at a time where the first Facebook babies are full grown adults.
Yeah.
Right? And the research on their experience of having this online baby book that was open to so many people and what it's been like, and the results are not encouraging.
Right.
And that's hard because that was a decision the parents made that was so super helpful to the parents.
Right.
Right?
Well, how do you get pictures to grandma and aunts and uncles and cousins and people you can't see all the time? Oh, you just put it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And hey, boy, that's easy.
Yeah.
And then all these parents who used their relationships with their children for their blogs. And this is how they made their living.
And not to mention the little things like, I just can't believe there's naked pictures of me on the internet.
Yeah.
Right? Like these kids are saying.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're like, they didn't consent to that, but they're adorable little toddlers in a bathtub.
Right.
And it was a cute thing. And everybody was adult about it when shared. We were, oh, that's a baby and that's adorable and that's super cute. But now the person's growing up and they're like, it's one thing to have that in the baby book if I've invited you over to the house.
Right.
And then we go through the pictures. Okay, fine. But like literally anybody could stumble upon the picture and not necessarily be so, upstanding about it.
Right.
If the parents don't have their privacy settings appropriately.
Exactly.
So whole issues.
Yeah.
Right?
And then she also pointed out that there are some things that are done to kind of remind you that you can laugh at this movie.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Like M3GAN's hands. They're like, she's wearing oversized gloves. They're just a little puffy.
Yeah.
And you can laugh at this.
Yes.
Yes.
There was a lot of good moments.
Yeah. So did you love it?
I did.
I did love it too.
I loved it.
Do you want to see more of it?
No.
Oh, they have greenlit a sequel.
Of course
because it made $179 million against a $12 million budget.
Wow. I mean, I thought the practical effects. I liked all of that. So I liked the fact that it wasn't super CGI and all of that kind of stuff. So it felt like a great popcorn movie.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
What they do is they make sequels of these things, and then it's like, okay, well now you've just ruined the franchise. Good job.
Probably. But it has a release date of January 17th, 2025. Now, of course, there's been a writer strike and an actor strike, but Blumhouse, the production company for this, has evidently an agreement with both SAG and AFTRA.
Okay,
so
good. All right.
It may or may not delay things.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is the little AI port, Elise, that was in Gemma's house.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, they left it wide open for a sequel.
I mean, they always do.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little
You're a little jaded by it.
I'm a little jaded because they have ruined our trust. They have made so many movies, and this is why we can't have good movies.
Yeah, that's fair. Gerard Johnstone, the director, has agreed to return. One of the writers, Alika Cooper, also has agreed to come back.
That's good news.
It is good news. And the director said that there were a lot of ideas and themes that they had for the movie, but they really wanted to keep it like a 90-minute fun, enjoyable movie. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, they had to cut out a lot of the ideas that they had. So
that makes me feel better about it.
He's got some more themes that he'd like to explore a little bit.
Okay, that feels less like a algorithmic money grab.
Sure.
So
I mean, it's absolutely an algorithmic money grab.
But there's a literal.
Yeah, they have more ideas for story.
Yeah,
they're not like we came to the end of the story
and now we're gonna
and now we're just gonna do this for the cash,
right? And we're gonna make up something along the way,
right? No, they literally have more ideas.
Okay.
So,
all right. Fair.
Okay. So we're going to take a real quick break. We'll be right back with Is It True, Psychology Break, and Real Life after this.
So here's how it works. Christy wrecks her search history. Hey, an essay. We promise it's nothing more nefarious than a podcast. To find out what's true, some of the psychological motivations behind the characters' actions, and real-life applications that relate to our topic. I have no idea what Christy decided to look up. Could be the same thing that captured my curiosity or something I never thought of.
Is it true? So we don't really do reviews of other people here anymore. That said, Mia Mercado from The Cut had a really fun way of kind of doing a review. And it's so funny.
Okay, all right, let's talk about it.
So she wrote, every thought I had while watching M3GAN. So thank you, friends, for teaching us what this term means. She called the fake commercial at the beginning and a amuse-bouche before the terror. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's fun.
Okay, that's cute.
Dog in the first act. Sorry, buddy, you're going to die. Gemma does not want to ant. She only wants to robot and work.
Yeah, fair. Mm-hmm. That was exactly true.
Yes. So I asked you this before.
Okay.
So that you could be thinking about it.
Okay, yeah.
So if M3GAN had fans, what would her fandom be called? So like,
Bay has her swarm.
Right, exactly.
Right,
no,
Swifties.
she does not have a swarm. She has
the beehive.
Yeah.
The Bayhive.
The Bayhive.
Sorry, we did the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. So if you are confused right now, we covered
swarm, which
is
was like based on the beehive.
Yes. So yes, sorry, it's not the swarm. It's not. I that's an old episode. Y'all go listen to that. No, the Bayhive. Right. Swifties. I think I'd have to go with like Meg fans.
Okay.
Like M3GAN, Meg fans. Kind of sounds like OnlyFans.
Or like Megabots.
Or
I thought that was
Megabots.
funny.
I like that.
I also kind of liked Slicers or Defenders. But Mia over at The Cut, she had a good one.
Okay.
She was like, maybe Meganistas. But then she had another suggestion. M3GAN the Stallions fans are called hotties. So, roboties? I'm like...
Or bodies? Roboties?
Uh-huh.
It's like a RobOctober?
RobOctober.
Hello?
in many ways, M3GAN is a woman in STEM. I just thought it was really funny.
I have so many thoughts. Okay.
Yeah. M3GAN singing, and she says, M3GAN the musical when? I'm like, I would absolutely go
too.
see M3GAN the musical.
Me too.
So briefly, there is a song written for the film called Tell Me Your Dreams.
Yeah.
Then she sang David Guetta's song featuring Sia, Titanium.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, I love this song.
Oh my gosh.
And then accentuate the positive. It was Bing Crosby had the most famous version of accentuate the positive.
Oh my gosh. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Those are some good thoughts.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start doing that.
Thoughts of the...
We should catalog our first thoughts and then go through like a list of them.
That should be fun.
That would be fun. And then everybody can do it with us.
That's
they can
right.
submit their first thoughts.
That's right.
I don't
yes.
know.
First thoughts.
First thoughts.
And then the last one that I wanted to mention to you about was M3GAN's not a murderer. She's an anti-capitalist.
Oh my God.
You're funny, Mia.
Nah, she's funny.
So perpetual pets. We see them in the commercial at the very beginning.
Oh, yes.
And Katie is playing with hers in the backseat of the car moments before her parents die.
Yeah. Which is so sad.
But it's obviously based on the real world Furby.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And I thought about Furby, and then I thought about what is that the Digi thing? There's a Digi version that I had, right? Where you had to it was almost like a pocket video game. Digipets?
They were Digipets, and then there was another.
Yeah, then there was another version of that.
I wish I could remember what it was called.
I don't know, but I do remember on the little tiny screen.
And you had to feed it and stuff.
And then it would poop and make the little
and you have to clean
pile.
up the poop.
You have to go clean up the poop with your 3 buttons.
Yeah.
And your 2-inch screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever had a Furby. Did you have a Furby?
No, I never had a Furby.
I feel like I had a Furby.
I didn't. I had aged out of them by the time they came out. So they were the must-have toy in the Christmas season of 1998.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was a senior in high school.
Right.
So I technically should have aged out of that as well. But I think family members got me a Furby.
Oh, really?
Right.
Oh.
Thinking it was so unique. And
fun
whatever.
and a little creepy. So you did have a Furby. Did you enjoy it?
I don't know that I ever did anything with it, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they were the first successful attempt to produce and sell a domestically aimed robot.
Okay. Oh,
So
interesting.
we've moved on to ones that actually do things for us, like vacuum the floors.
Oh, that's delightful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Pools. They make big Roombas for your yard now.
Yes.
Cut your grass.
Yeah. There were some security concerns when it initially came out.
With a Furby?
Yes. The National Security Agency here in the U.S. on January 13th, 1999, banned them from their property because they were worried that they were a security concern. And Roger Schiffman, who owns Tiger Electronics, who produces Furby, said it had no ability to do any recording of whatsoever, that the only thing it could hear, quote unquote, hear, was a monotonous beep, like the Furbies would, quote unquote, talk to each other.
Okay.
And that was the only sound that it could hear, was this beep that it created. And they did eventually lift that ban for the original Furby.
Because later versions could do it.
The Furby Connect did have a microphone, could be connected through a Bluetooth connection, could be remotely activated, and can record.
Okay.
So,
wow. So that is a security issue.
Don't take a Furby anywhere that's...
You could do it. Yeah. So is that current now? Then there is a ban still for that.
I don't know. I don't know if they... But I would think that they're probably telling you, don't bring any recording devices into work, or only your approved devices should come to work. If you have questions
me and Siri.
You should maybe, if you have questions about an electronic piece of equipment you'd like to bring, talk to HR.
Yes. Ask your people. Talk to your chain of command. Mm-hmm. That's funny.
So how big of a threat are snowplows? I've never lived anywhere where there's snowplows.
They're big problems. But they're also wonderful.
Right.
But yeah, they're terrifying.
Yeah. So they're terrifying, but I love this. The article is from a law firm.
Okay.
It's the perfect law firm to use an article for. Kilino, Killino.
What?
Kilino firm.
It's a little funny. It's a little close.
Yeah, they're out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And they said that 70% of the roads in the U.S. receive 5 inches of snow or more on a regular basis in the winter, which I did not realize it was quite that much. So there's a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, only because I've lived around.
Sure.
So, yeah, that makes sense.
There is no federal agency that tracks crashes with snow removal equipment.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know why that's so surprising.
But I was surprised too, but I'm like, I guess. But there's the states themselves will track some of this and often publish it. So, for example, in Iowa, they average about 46 snowplow accidents every winter.
Okay.
Not
like what happened in the movie.
Yeah, most of them are not deadly.
Right.
Most of them are like damage to your vehicle or whatever. Iowa, just for giggles and grins, is bigger than Iceland or England. So,
okay.
It's like, is it bigger than countries that get snow? Yes, it is. Little aside, because I was like, how big is Iowa really? It's pretty big.
It's pretty big.
Yeah. Top contributions to snowplow accidents.
Okay.
Are inattention or misjudgment by the snowplow driver account for 38%.
Okay.
Which I would say maybe the snowplow driver was a little bit in the wrong in the movie, but also maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not.
Inattention or misjudgment by the other driver. They absolutely misjudged their situation because they understood while they were in it that they shouldn't be sitting there, and yet they still were. Yeah. And poor visibility. I think that's the biggest factor at work in the movie is that there's... It came out of nowhere because it was a blizzard.
Yeah. So I think in the movie they did a pretty decent job of making it feel like a freak accident. That something that may be common, but really never does like this. Right. Where it was weird, and that aided the suspension of judgment for why she was unharmed. So it was just one of those weird freak accidents where it was like, but because they were talking in the car about how it was supposed to be clear, it wasn't supposed to be snowing yet. It came out of nowhere, and then they were like, "Well, just wait." So, and then I think because it came out of nowhere, the snowplow was moving too fast, to try to get ahead of things. Yeah. It was just
they just had to get rid of the parents.
Well, that's true too.
I mean, this is it was a plot device.
It was a plot device, but I thought they did it fairly well.
I thought so
for
too.
A freak accident thing.
I mean, I didn't expect to come into this movie having a whole lot of facts thrown at us.
No, not so much. Although I have to say there was moments like when we were dealing with like the kid and M3GAN where I was like, that hits. Yeah. That hits what's happening right now. Like, yeah.
All right, so Gemma doesn't really know how to relate to Katie, like at all.
Statement.
You know, her recently orphaned niece. But they finally connect over Bruce, a proxy robot that Gemma made when she was in college.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is a proxy robot?
That was pretty cool.
I know, but basically it was very simplified for a very complex robot. So all they had to control Bruce was gloves, and evidently that was all you needed to be able to control Bruce.
Yeah.
And he was very large.
He was very large.
So, but in theory, what we could and should be using proxy robots for is to either on Earth or in space, to be able to mimic the movements of a human so that we can go to a dangerous place and observe and also interact with
it's like a living avatar kind of thing.
Yes.
Situation.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Before we can get to that level, we have to have things like what's happening at the Cornell College of Computing, where they have a robot called Remotion. it occupies physical space on behalf of its user.
That's so eloquently put.
It mirrors movements and things like that. So it's got a monitor for a face.
Yeah.
It's got omnidirectional wheels for feet and game engine software for brains. So
That's
it
really
can
cool.
it can move around. And then there was another Cornell-based product called Neckface.
What?
Terrible name.
Why do I hate that so immediately?
I hated it too. I'm
Why?
like, you need to go to the marketing teams and have them rename this for
yeah,
you.
you might as well have named it Moist.
But it yes. Neck
Visceral
face.
reaction. Neck face.
Yeah.
It's so it's like grating.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Oh, it's bad. And
so
all
weird.
it does is like track the movements of your head basically and parts of your body so that the robot can interact. But it's a terrible name.
I can't get over what a terrible name that is.
Neck face.
Neck face. It feels like it's like somehow like an uncanny valley feeling.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes.
We're
Like
so-
it's wrong.
Yeah, like it's just
like
wrong.
almost right, but it's wrong
Yeah,
and it's
something.
almost rightness.
Cornell, get on that
Yep.
now.
And right now, remotion
Uh-huh.
can only be used if both the person operating the robot and the robot are in identical situations. Which I can see how that might be helpful if it's like a laboratory setting.
Right.
Where they're trying to collaborate between two different people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that they can be picking up and moving things at the same time in the same way
Right.
or whatever.
But
It seems
practically
practically that's not very helpful.
no, it's gonna have to. That's interesting.
Yeah. All right. So the police in the movie refused to do anything about the neighbor's dog because the neighbor said that the 9-year-old had provoked the dog. And so there was
Yeah.
nothing he could do. Yeah, that is wrong in like every way.
Every way. Like I don't know that. Like I was thinking about that when I saw it.
Yeah, I was like,
I don't think that's the law.
So if she said that the child provoked the dog, I'm like, also that child should have gone to the ER.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like clean that wound. No, we go to the ER
Yeah.
and we have a professional do this cleaning
Just make
out
sure.
of the wounds because dogs' mouths are really dirty.
Yeah.
And gross. But yeah, that's not the way it works at all.
Yeah.
Rose, Klein, and Marius, injury lawyers. Now, provocation can have a role,
Okay. Yeah. Tell me more about that.
in your degree of liability, but it doesn't absolve you of liability just because you told the officer that the dog was
Yeah.
provoked. So
I mean, and does it have to be provoked? Like, doesn't it? Okay, I don't know about this, but
Okay.
my thought is, does provocation mean you did something that would typically make a dog defensive? But does that action have to be some sort of like normal threat you might get arrested for anyways, like trespassing on your breaking and entering or verbally threatening you or something like that? Like, wouldn't those kind of be the same? Like, it can't just be like you provoked it because you looked at him funny and that
Yeah.
dog doesn't like that.
right. It would, in some places, the standard is that a reasonable person would conclude that you were trying to provoke the dog.
Right. It can't be on accident.
Right. It can't be on accident. It's got to be like you poke the dog with the stick in the eye.
Right. Like,
That would be provocation.
Right.
Even then, it's the onus is on the dog owner to prove it.
yeah.
It's
right.
not just tell the police officer.
Because of course the dog was provoked. That's like basic biology.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's legitimately been deemed a psychopathic dog. In general, all dogs are just responding to the stimuli.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
So of course it was provoked.
Yes. So,
Like, I mean,
but I mean, even if it wasn't, I mean, she reached through the hole in the fence, I guess technically that could be considered provocation.
I mean,
But I think and she kept insisting that it was Gemma's fault for not repairing. I'm like, no, your dog obviously made that hole in that fence.
Yes.
It's your job to fix it, not hers.
you have the dog you have to control. So this is a you problem.
Yep. Exactly. So now if a victim is found to have contributed to the dog bite incident by a court of law, because you have evidence that you have provided, then the percentage of their fault will lower the damages that they are entitled to. So even if a person is found to be 80% at fault, that doesn't mean you don't have to do anything about it. It just means if the dog had been entirely at fault, or you had been entirely at fault because you had not restrained a dangerous animal, but they're found to be 80% at fault for it, then they would take the amount that they would be awarded and lower it by 80%. So you'd still have to pay them.
You'd still have to pay. And I guess there is some difference between whether then the dog is like put down. Right. Like if the dog had bitten somebody before because they're a little dangerous, and then the owners were, penalized for that, but then made the appropriate, but somebody else came into the property. Right. Against like a clear like boundary. Right. And then got themselves bit. Right. That dog would not be put down for that. Right. Because then it would be a provocation issue, even though the dog has a history. Right. Boy, dog law, court of law. Oh, that would be a great reality TV show. It would be so great.
No. What I really want is like an Air Bud situation where you have a dog as a lawyer, where the dog is like Lassie and figures out how to solve the crimes.
Yes.
That would be an adorable show.
Dog. Whatever, at law. I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like somebody's got a really good title like on the tip of their tongue right now.
There's a really good Disney Channel show in there.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. It could teach children about the law and how the law works.
How cute.
It'd be a little civics show.
Oh, so cute.
Somebody get on that. Somebody get on that who is not part of the Cornell group.
No. Because because then you're going to get up with you're going to get dog law. Yeah. Instead of,
like something adorable. Right. Because
instead of, snuffle poo.
Yeah. Snuffle poo.
Yeah.
Or
a doggy at law.
Yeah. That's it. Doggy at law. Yeah.
Well, we just don't want dog law.
Yeah. No. We also don't want neck face.
So M3GAN's a crafty bit of artificial intelligence. When will AI be able to outsmart us?
Oh, this question is okay, I did spend the entire time watching this movie going around and round and round myself on this whole subject.
Okay.
Yeah, my brain, my Google, everything. It was just
probably not for a long time. If ever, right.
If ever. I don't know it can, because this was such a clear demonstration about how you can't, how the robots don't really understand the assignment.
Right. There was an article on MIT's engineering blog in 2018.
Okay.
So a while ago, that said human level machine intelligence at that point had a 50% chance of occurring within the next 45 years, and only a 10% chance of occurring in 9 years. Okay. I would say we're pretty close to that 9-year
mark.
Spot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 5 years since this was done. I don't think we're going to make it in the next 4 years.
I don't think
So, and the reason why is because there's a couple of things that humans can do pretty well that we cannot figure out how to program the robots to do.
Right.
Like they're so intuitive to us, we don't even know how to tell them to do the thing.
Yeah.
One of those is one-shot learning, where you can show a child an object in just a few instances. Instances. Thank you. you can show a child an object in just a few instances and they can categorize it. So they can understand, having seen an orange once or twice, that it's an orange, and an apple once or twice, that it's an apple, and that they're fruit.
Right.
We can do that categorization pretty easily.
Yeah.
Then there's also intuitive physics. So like if a fly flies right at your face, you don't think about it. You just move out of the way.
You just move.
You don't always move all the way out of the way.
No. Sometimes we don't.
Sometimes you get hit in the face by the fly.
Sometimes you swallow it. You know, like if you have like a glass of wine outside and a fly's in it and you're reading and you pick up your glass of wine and it's like as it's entering your mouth, you're like, oh. And you eat the fly.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
A little protein.
Protein. It's fine. You didn't taste it.
It was disinfected because of the wine.
It was. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
But they don't know how to program that.
And it makes sense because we are covered literally from head to toe in a walking sensor.
Right.
Right. So there's only so much censoring we can put on a robot to be able to sense. And we sense things that are so intertwined, you know, that all of those sensors, I love the Internet of Things, but they just don't intertwine the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
So as Megan is dealing with the neighbor, we come to realize that she's self-aware. And the neighbor asks her, "What are you?" And Megan replies, "I've been asking myself that same question." So are there AI that can learn?
Okay, but learn is such a broad word, right?
It is, but this one was interesting because Google's AI, DeepMind, has an AI model that's called RoboCat or Gatto. I think technically it's named, but they've nicknamed it RoboCat.
Okay.
Of course, you know, we understand machine learning can happen when they can either model or have access to a lot of data in which to understand when things happen. So RoboCat can learn new tasks with as few as 100 demonstrations. Okay. So it's faster than it's been before. Not thousands, but hundreds. And it's multimodal. So it can process images, language, and action in either physical or simulated environments. Right. So it's got more ways to learn. It's not only one of those. It can learn these from any of these. Right. So that's helping it master tasks more efficiently with less human interaction.
Right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, the thing is, like, she became sentient.
We're going to get there.
Oh, yes. I'm so excited.
She was dealing with the neighbor.
I love you saying dealing with the neighbor.
Euphemism. She shot the neighbor from several yards away with a nail gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, I thought, as I'm watching, I'm like, they have safety mechanisms in place. They do, but you can override them.
Oh, yeah. You can by accident sometimes.
Yeah. So I wanted to know, like, how far can you shoot?
Yeah. How far does like a good nail gun go?
Okay. So the old pneumatic nail guns,
those are like
2.5 to 3 miles.
I mean, overkill.
I mean,
it's amazing that the nail actually just went into what it was being
like
nailed
that.
To
it didn't fly through the fence. Yeah. You know,
but it shows you how it's like in there. Yeah,
it's in there.
It's doing the thing.
Yeah. Nowadays we have low velocity nail guns because somebody realized we don't need to shoot the nail with enough force that it would go 3 miles if the safety mechanisms weren't there.
Okay, you know what this reminds me of? All right, in about 1998, 99, maybe 97. They
around
came
the time
out with,
you got a Furby.
Around the time the Furby, yeah. They had a Super Soaker come out. And there was 2 different models of this particular Super Soaker. And it was so powerful that kids were getting like severely injured.
Oh, geez.
I never looked, obviously we couldn't just be like Google, but like on the news, it was like a kid had been almost killed.
Wow.
Because it was so powerful. And I was like giggling because I was like, well, that's why everybody wanted to go buy it. Because it was so powerful. But they actually removed that.
Wow.
Like they pulled it and they just came out with another model. It was basically the same, but just less powerful.
Right.
But seriously, that sucker on a football field, I mean, I could get you at like 40 yards. Easy.
Oh.
Easy. Now, at 40 yards, I'm not killing you, but if I'm standing a foot in front of you and I aim at your throat.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
If I just kept it going, because, you know, it was like continuous spray.
Right.
Backpack and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like you could drown somebody. It was craziness. That's what makes me think of like the nail gun.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So the current ones, if you were to disable them, could only shoot 3 to 5 feet.
That's better.
It's much better. You could go 30 to 50 yards if you have a more professional, high-powered one.
Okay.
That most people wouldn't have that in their house. So
no,
you can't shoot it very far unless you disable the safety mechanisms. Though we know that Megan had access to the internet.
Right. So she could learn that.
She probably looked it up.
She probably could learn it.
She was waiting. She had some time.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the pressure washer. You mentioned
That's funny. Yes.
You mentioned the super
the
soaker.
soakers.
The pressure washers, was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of alluded to in the regular version, which is, I'm sure, probably what you watched.
Yeah, I think
there was
watched the regular version.
Uncut version, which has more gore and more language. They cut it to PG-13 to try and get the teens to go
to the
see
movie.
Megan, which evidently they did since it made a lot of money.
I love the fact that it was 90 minutes. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Yes. Slasher movies don't need to be longer than that.
They just don't.
Theoretically, yes.
Yeah,
the pressure washer could kill. I would think that the neighbor would have had ample time to scream and yell and also get some help. It wasn't the most secluded area.
It's a suburban neighborhood.
I mean, yeah, there's neighbors. It's not like they're super far away because that's the whole problem with the dog the dog was right there. Anyway, the actual problem with pressure washers is that the injuries that they cause can sometimes seem really minor when they're not.
Because all right. Now that makes sense to me.
Right.
Because of the way that the welt would come in, you could end up with almost like a bed sore, like a type of deep wound.
Right. Yes. Because it can make a very small wound that you may think is not dangerous.
Yeah.
And yet what it's done is push bacteria deep within the tissue. And if you don't catch it, it can, turn amputation and all kinds of stuff. So you should definitely be very careful with those. And in fact, Consumer Reports doesn't even review pressure washers anymore that come with a nozzle below 15 degrees. So they have different nozzles. There's 0, 15, 30, 45. Usually it goes in increments of 15.
Okay.
And the wider they are, the less pressure. So you can use them for different things. So if you have if you're going to wash your car, you probably want to use a much lower pressure because you don't want to take your paint off.
Right.
But if you're cleaning a driveway, you want higher pressure. Think about it. If you're cleaning your driveway, if you just stood long enough, it would eat a hole into the concrete.
Yeah.
Maybe don't point it at your foot.
Maybe not.
Maybe don't.
Maybe wear boots.
Yeah. And so Consumer Reports doesn't even review ones that come with the 0 because it's just needlessly dangerous. They're like, it doesn't do such a better job than the 15 degree, and yet it's so much more incredibly dangerous.
It seems to me it would make a very, very fine line, and it would feel like coloring a poster with a fine tip marker.
Yes.
Like that seems not necessary too.
Depending on how big your driveway is, maybe a football field.
Seriously.
Yeah. All of the sources that we use to inform our discussion here on Killer Fun Podcast can be found on our social media. Join us on Facebook at Killer Fun Podcast, exploring the intersection of crime and entertainment. You can find us on Twitter at Killer Fun Pod, or you can send us an email at killerfunpodcast@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to share a link to whatever information you're looking for. We love to hear from you. You might learn a little something too. Psychology break.
Okay.
All right. So briefly, Gemma wasn't wrong when she encouraged Katie to feel her pain in her grief, that is actually a important part of the grieving process and understanding it, particularly for a child. M3GAN was very intent on saving her from her emotional distress. And so she wasn't letting her feel her feelings.
Right. The first time we see that she doesn't actually understand the assignment.
Right. Exactly. We see Katie feel like a sense of numbness in the beginning before she has M3GAN. And then later she's irritable and angry whenever she's not around M3GAN. Those are signs that you might need a little extra help to support children through the grieving process. Physical closeness, comfort, reassurance are really, really important. Talking about memories of their loved ones is also really important to help them remember good things and not just the death. Acknowledge and validate their feelings and just be really patient. And, it's okay to not have all the answers.
Yeah, absolutely. And the teaching. I mean, that's what Gemma, in that one moment, she actually said something that was kind of a teaching moment. But, M3GAN was too far gone to then receive influence anymore.
Right.
But that teaching moment is important.
Sure.
Help them learn how to deal with the pain.
Yeah.
Deal with the grief.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that therapist.
Bless her.
Bless the writers who didn't know anything about what a therapist might do when they come in. Anyway, so she was court appointed. It seems. And she comes in all judgy that Katie's in her PJ at 9 a.m. I'm like, grieving kids can stay in their PJs for a while if they want. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
She had clothes on. She wasn't naked.
I mean, right? It wasn't like a school day.
She wasn't slubby. She wasn't even it was just pajamas. It's fine. Anyway, and then the therapist said that all she was going to do was watch their interaction.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so the only thing I could find that's actually therapy related is child-parent interaction therapy.
Right, yeah.
And that was wrong in all the levels.
Well, the thing is, they call her a therapist, but she's actually a social worker.
Right.
So if you look at what social workers are doing, they might actually do that. Because they're not there to give therapy.
Right.
They're there to make a report.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure.
So she's just there to document whether the change of custody is going as it should.
Sure.
Right? But so she's not really doing therapy, which is kind of, that's the weird part.
That's what she kind of indicated that she was doing therapy. So if somebody were going to do child-parent interaction therapy, typically it would be for a younger child.
Yeah.
They don't do it for children over the age of 7, except in extraordinary cases, I would think, where your child is mentally younger than their physical age. Maybe. I mean, even then it would be coached and guided. And if it's going to be filmed, it's because that they're going to offer feedback on that.
Right. Because that kind of therapy is almost more for the parent. It's the parent. It's and that's actually, and that's the problem they had, is they kept saying therapy and all that stuff. But really, she was a social worker there to judge Gemma, not Katie. Right? So she observes Katie to see how well she's doing, so she can make a report on whether Gemma's doing her job. So I can see her wanting to come in and say, y'all just do. Let me watch how you're interacting but then she gets weird about it.
Well, if she hadn't been come in all hot and judgy.
Right? She could have just easily watched interactions without. She ruined it by saying, I'm going to watch you interact. And that was, study blown.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I'm going to do this. And she was all mean about it, first of all. And second of all, no preparation, no warning, no I'm just going to come to the house. And I'm just going to see how you.
And she's sitting right there like a catcher waiting for a ball.
Yeah.
And no. No, she's not getting any data that's at all really helpful.
No.
Yeah, because
Not
if
at
they
all.
looked awesome, they put on a show.
Right,
They
exactly.
could have put on a show.
Sure.
Right, which is what Gemma ends up doing, right? Because with the toy thing.
Right. Yeah. And she opens her. That was the most ridiculous part, maybe of the entire movie, was that she had this collectible toy, and then she agrees to open it, which she probably wouldn't have.
No.
And then she, instead of like opening it carefully, she like smashes it like.
Because that's how she feels about her life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
I'm
Just, screw it all.
Even still, she's an adult and a
She
very
should have
intelligent
done it.
adult. She
Yeah.
would have done it in the nice way, but I get how that was a better movie moment.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Right.
And then later, that same stupid therapist tries to say that because of attachment theory, that Katie's going to bond with the next person that comes along.
That was a little bit of a movie magic moment.
I was like, do you understand attachment theory at all? I mean, it is based on the work of John Bowlby.
Yes.
From the 50s. And it basically says that early childhood experiences are going to develop impact your adult relationships.
They do.
Yeah, and they do.
Bidirectionally with your natural
Sure.
attachment style, but more so he's going with the nurture over the nature.
Right.
With the family systems.
Exactly. And that is the primary criticism of attachment theory, is that it basically ignores all of your natural tendencies when a lot of your personality comes from your genetics.
And I mean, the family systems is not a bad model. It's just not the only model.
Right.
It's a decent model, and really attachment has been found to be very, very steady.
Sure.
Right. Your attachment, if they study you when you're younger, a little kid or whatever, and they make a determination about the attachment, that's fairly consistent with your attachment as an adult.
Okay, great.
Which is why maybe, yes, nurture, but also a little nature.
Sure.
Right?
It can be both.
So, yeah.
Because you can have people who are in terrible situations but have found ways to attach appropriately and effectively with the adults in their life, even for a limited amount of time. And yet you can have people who are, very attentive parents who are anxious little creatures.
Yeah. Right. There's just the attachment. And I mean, and love is not the indicator of healthy attachment.
Sure.
It's about relationship, skill.
Sure.
But we look at infants, and what we're saying, if we look at an infant and determine that he has an anxious attachment or a disorganized attachment or a healthy attachment, that infant, baby or toddler, that's not a whole lot of time for the nurture to impact. However, they're usually looking at that and the mother. Okay, well, that is the only interaction he's ever had into a large degree. I mean, so significantly compared to the rest of the world that, might as well be the only, right? So when you see that could be a reflection, but maybe not of the factors we think it is, right?
Sure.
It could be a reflection of the mom's postpartum.
Sure.
A depression. It could be just that person doesn't have a good understanding of parenting, right? Or it's kind of a mismatch a little bit. But healthy attachment overall is definitely, considered important.
Absolutely.
Like vital.
Right. But it wouldn't be the next person that comes along is who she's going to attach to next.
Well,
it's not
and that's not really attachment theory she's talking about.
No, she's
talking about grief.
Sure.
And comfort and looking for that dopamine rush. The next person that gives her a dopamine rush, she's going to cling to. Okay.
Right.
That might be a little fair.
Yeah.
The next person that makes her feel loved and comfortable and safe, she's going to overreact and cling to harder because she's in survival mode. It has nothing to do with her attachment.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, maybe it has a little, I can't say nothing, but maybe a little, but
that's not like the primary.
No.
I'm She just like flat out named that one. I'm like, that's wrong. Even I know that's wrong.
like, okay. We just wanted to name drop is what we wanted to do.
Uh-huh. That's right.
Name drop some family systems.
Real life.
Real life.
All right. Yay for a woman not only being in AI, but being a leader in AI.
Leader.
So yay for that. There are only about 22% of women AI professionals globally.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm. In fact, there was a recruiter bot, according to Medium, that had been given lots of data to help them find their perfect candidates among the pool of candidates who are available. And so based on that data, the qualifications, the experience, accolades, all of these different things, the AI kind of decided that men were the perfect candidates because they had more instances of longer work history
all
of the stuff. So the machine kind of took it upon itself to eliminate women from the pool.
Oh, nice. Nice.
They had to turn it
They
off.
didn't understand the assignment.
Did not understand the assignment.
I have the most sexist remark though. Because I'm like, oh yeah, of course women don't want to be an AI. They have to literally raise everything. They have to raise everything, and now you want them to raise robots. Maybe we're not done with some of the humans yet.
That's fair. So do we want or need women in AI?
Definitely.
So of course, yes, we don't just want women in AI.
Yeah.
So while empowering women to be in a primarily male dominated field is good and makes us feel good,
it's great.
That's not why we need women in AI, because they bring different experiences, different ideas, different, levels of things that in their skill set that, maybe helps eliminate some of the bias. We talked about this a lot the last time.
We have. So, but I mean, kind of like to the point I was talking about, it is a little sexist, but it's also very true. I mean, most women are going to bring that perspective of nurturing, whereas men might tend to bring a perspective of programming.
Sure.
And we talk a lot about programming the AI. If you want it to actually be generative AI, like sub-sentient kind of stuff, you're going to have to raise it from its birth.
Yeah.
You have to raise it the same way you raise a child.
Yeah.
Right? You have to impart, not program.
Right.
You have to guide, not just, have instances of learning. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like you would literally have to raise it that way in order because all it's doing is reflecting us. So if all you're doing is programming it, that's how it's going to react to everything.
Right. Exactly. Nicely done. Gemma confidently declares that 78% of parenting time is devoted to repeating basic instruction. That wasn't something that I could find any statistics
that seems
on.
Like
it was made up.
But I feels like it.
I mean, yes. But there is something that 78% of current parents have in common that might affect the future of the current generation. From CNBC, that 78% of Americans aren't confident that life for their children's generation will be better than it has been for them, according to a survey from March of 2023 in the Wall Street Journal and the University of Chicago.
Isn't that so sad?
Yeah. And I mean, it's easy to see why, because we have climate change and politics are crazy. We have wars popping up all over, school shootings. It's easy to see why. I mean, I know I feel a little hopeless sometimes. That said, be careful, because it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, for real.
Here's the thing. You want to be real with your kids, but you also want to give them hope.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah. Here's another reason why we don't have to worry about M3GAN just yet, is that we don't know how to make AI understand cause and effect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's something,
and predict a consequence. Yeah.
Right. Because it's something we understand so innately as humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even like if you did programming when you were a little kid and you learned about if-then statements, to us, that seems like cause and effect.
But it's
not. And we don't know how to program the AI so that it can understand cause and effect, because we understand that if you pick up a beaker that's glass and squeeze it with too much force, it's going to break.
Right.
We understand the cause was squeezing it too hard and the effect was it breaking.
Right.
All the computer knows is I have to pick this up with this much force.
Right.
It doesn't understand the next thing, or picked it up with too much force and it broke. It doesn't understand that.
Right.
And we don't know how to make it understand that because it's so intuitive to us.
Right. Right. The programming would have to be so if squeeze more than this, then break.
Even still.
But even still, that wouldn't tell it what to do in this situation.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
So they've made like 3D models of like rooms. And if they ask the AI to tell us what color the ball in that room is, it can do it with accuracy over 90% of the time.
Right.
But if you give it a scene to watch in that same room where something happens, the ball runs into the truck or whatever.
Yeah.
And you ask it why the ball ran into the truck, it doesn't understand.
No.
It'll give you an answer, but it's only right 10% of the time or so. It'll give you an answer because it's good at telling us what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get to.
It tries.
Yeah. That said,
Yeah.
in 2022, I kind of forgot about this. There was an engineer at Google who suggested that one of their AI had become sentient.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, he needed a break.
I think he did.
I'm trying to be nice about this.
I agree.
But I think that was a little like it was a Wilson moment. It freaked him out. Him and his Wilson.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well,
if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is a reference to the movie Castaway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Blake Lemoine had said that it had achieved person status because of how it spoke about its fear of death if Google were to delete it. And he insisted that he wasn't just being fooled by a clever robot, but that Google had enslaved the AI system. And other experts didn't agree with him.
Yeah.
They said humans have this innate desire to anthropomorphize objects and creatures, and AI is really good at telling us what we want to hear. It understands language well.
Right. So they can talk about it intelligently.
Right. It seems intelligent.
Right.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, the experts kind of agree it wasn't conscious.
No.
Other experts. But I don't think Blake is engineering there anymore.
No. He left. But I mean, yeah, I get it. You're with it for so long, the way it speaks, and you swear you didn't teach it that. And you can't trace it to where they put it together.
Right.
That's freaky.
Yeah, because we don't understand how they make the connections, because they are doing aggregate data and looking at it in ways that we can't see, but they don't understand cause and effect.
No. So, and that's the point, right? So like, but interacting with it that often, I think it causes a weird relation with the, with the
he's
unit.
anthropomorphized it. He's equating it to himself, even though it is not. And a lot of experts are trying to say there's a certain amount of, like, if you're not made from like organic matter stuff, you're probably not sentient.
Yeah.
You could be made from organic stuff and still not be sentient.
Right.
But there's something about bornness that gives you that certain something. And Steven Pinker in cognitive science at Harvard said, we should aim higher than duplicating human intelligence anyway. We should build devices that do things that need to be done.
Yes.
Like,
thank you.
We should not be working to try and replicate us.
No.
It's not useful or helpful.
I think the problem is people don't think creatively and innovatively about it. Also, I do give credit to the fact that we don't know what's next until we know how to replicate ourselves. So we can't level up when we can't do the first level. And replication feels like it should be the easiest thing. And it's
really not.
So not. So I don't know that we can level up with artificial intelligence. And that way we have to be creative about what that means.
Right.
Roombas.
Yeah.
Yes. it learns your room. It does the thing, right? I love we have so many things we could, if we would just do it that way, it doesn't have to feel personified to be artificial intelligence that we find to be very useful. So think outside the box.
Yeah, but people want to do it. That's why they put googly eyes on their Roombas.
Thank you. Yep.
Because they want to feel like
it's a pet. It's a pet.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I like to end on a lighter note.
Always.
Let's end on a lighter note. We're going to talk about, even though M3GAN is a feat of engineering, the perpetual pets are probably closer to what we would have in real life. So at the Consumer Electronics Show in 2023, they had a bunch of robot pets.
Okay.
So like one of them may be like the hot toy, and it was called Dog-E.
Oh, okay.
Dog -E. It's about $80.
Okay.
It's shipping like just now in the middle of October 2023.
To get here for the season.
for Christmas. And it's like this little dog.
Yeah, I think I've seen this.
It's cute. It's it was okay cute. Like the little tail wags and it'll like if you interact with it on the app.
Okay.
So similar to what we saw in the perpetual pets.
Right.
And you like put its name in and it'll wag its tail real fast and then it'll write the name. So you know how you have those like spinny like little fans that'll show you a picture.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It's like that same kind of technology.
Oh,
the tail
cute.
wags real fast and you can see its name and it's got different colors and stuff like that.
Well, that's adorable. Its face is like a screen though, right?
No, not that one. That one actually has like a puppy shaped face.
Oh, actually a puppy shaped face.
Yeah, but the eyes can change color and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Different parts of it change color.
Okay, I have not seen this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then there's the Pixel, which is about $125. And it's more about teaching kids to code.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a very simple code and then more complex code. And you can go back and forth, which is actually the most interesting thing about that one. And it's cute.
Yeah.
Then there's Miko.
I think I saw like some stuff come through, Instagram, after.
Yeah.
Miko sounds familiar.
Miko has actually been on the market since 2021.
Okay.
It was retailing for about $250. This season, they're introducing the Miko Mini, which is about $150. And it's kind of a learning coach for kids. It has facial recognition in it, which is a little, but the company Gizmodo said that all of the AI facial recognition is stored only locally.
Okay.
That it's not sent anywhere. And that option is completely optional. You don't have to use it. You just won't quite have all the functionality.
Interesting.
So that one's the Dog-E.
Oh, yeah. Look,
that one's the Miko.
See, okay.
Yeah, that's the one.
With the screen.
Okay. Then there's another one. It was so darn cute. It's expensive. It's called Luna.
Okay.
And it also recognizes faces.
Yeah.
And it retails for about $530 with the accessories. The charging port.
Oh, well, that's not an accessory.
No, I agree.
That's something you have to have.
No.
I mean,
no, you kind of need it. I mean, I guess technically you could probably plug it in and it's nicer to have the little charging port where it charges itself or whatever.
Yes.
And then there's like a game thing with it. Mm-hmm. That one's really expensive, but dang, it was cute. It was so adorable. I'm like, okay. But the reviewer that talked about all of these said he found it was very cute, but that it feels a little brittle. That it feels not as robust as you might want for
that kind of
that kind of toy.
Yeah,
right.
That makes sense. I mean, all I can remember is going to the mall and you have the pet shop or not pet shop. So the toy shop that had the little fake pets out front. The little dogs.
They bark and
they
flip.
bark. Oof, 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 and then they flip over.
Yeah,
that's all I can think about. I'm like, for all of that money, I get it. There's some things there, but I feel like the feeling of having the fake pet is just as fine in that like $20 item.
I agree.
Over there. And then if you go to the pet shop, you can actually buy a pet for these prices.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, now these won't have to go to the veterinarian.
No, and they won't need any,
Food
legit cleanup.
Right. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
But even still, there's nothing like your sentient pet.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. A real animal.
Yeah. All right. So next time we're going to talk the Murdaugh murders, a Southern scandal. We're going to start this from the beginning.
Yeah, let's do that.
It first came out at the beginning of 2023. There's been a second season, quote unquote. There are only 3 episodes
they're
per
not
season.
long.
They're not, it's not long seasons.
Yeah.
But Alex Murdaugh's justified downfall.
I'm excited to watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually watched the first part of it and I wasn't sure I was really ready to talk about it, but I watched it like back when it first came out. And I was like, I don't know. And then we talked about other stuff. So now that there's the next season of it, a little more, I mean, and he's trying to, get another trial and all this baloney.
It's drama.
Yeah.
Drama.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for listening. We know you make a choice when you listen to us. We don't just come on the radio. We really appreciate that you take some time and spend it with us. And we really hope that you will tell a friend because it's so much more fun when you can listen with a friend. And until next time, be safe, be kind, and wash your hands.
Bum, bum, bum. Da, da, da.